the result of wherever you at in life, right? The results of life right now for you, right? Whether you're living a happy life, whether you're satisfied or unsatisfied, whether you're feeling wealthy or unwealthy, whether you're feeling like you're expansive and you're connected with so many things and you've had so many great experiences, or you feel like you're just in limitation, like you don't have much experiences or much to connect to at all of these results are from the experiences you've been having in your life. Obviously, you can see that. But where have these experiences come from? What happened? Are they just is life unfair? Did motherfucker just put a curse on you? Is shit just happening because it's you? What is this, right? I'm here to tell you that all of this shit is because of our choices, right? It's all from the potential energy that we put out there, right? The root is the seed that we've been planted, right? Whether we plant the seeds of happiness, positivity, seeds of sadness or negativity, seeds of hatefulness, which leads to war, seeds of gratitude, or seeds of nonchalantness, right? All of this right here leads to all of this right here, which eventually leaves all right here. I see people complain, about certain circumstances they have in their life, right? Where they at and shit. And they complain as if they're confused about why they're there, right? They complain without any words of accountability. Because if there was any accountability, then there would be no complaint. Because what are you complaining for? Complaint only comes when we feel like we have to blame something outside of ourselves for whatever's going on in our life, right? It's like something to give the responsibility to outside of ourselves. It's just that's what complaining is. That's what complaining is, at least to me, right? But the real reality is that whatever's going on, whether you like it or you don't like it, if you look at the experiences you've been having, eventually, if you look deep enough, you'll see that all of this, everything you've been dealing with, all came from the choices you've been making. Choices of the people you've been choosing to align with, choices of the food you've been choosing to eat, the thoughts you've been choosing to have, the type of ideas you've been choosing to contain in your mind. You feel me? Your belief system, your faith, you know what I mean? Your actions that you take. All of that is the root. All of that is the reason why. So it's best to understand this. It's best to accept this. And it's best to start taking accountability. It's crazy how so many things come in threes, man. I mean, you got the mind, body, spirit. You got in Hermeticism, the mental plane, the physical plane, the spiritual plane, right? You got the three magi, right? Also known as the three wise men, right? And then you got the Holy Trinity. Hell, you even got the three musketeers, right? And then, yeah, I had to actually rewrite that. And then you have what I'm gonna talk to y'all about today, which is potential, experience, results. Results. These are the three things that I have identified as part of our structure of living here in this reality, right? Kind of, I was going to say experience, but experience is within what I'm talking about here. So the structure of what we are experiencing, right, and how we are doing this, right, how things are unfolding, is what we're going to talk about. First is potential, which also could be looked at as the root. All right, the root of everything. So with potential, everything can exist, right? Anything can happen, right? Right now, I could be either be doing this, or I could be watching a video, or I could be playing the game, or I could be going out to work, get some money, right? It's all about the choices that I'm making, all about the choices we are making every single day, right? And that's the potential. Whether or not we choose to be happy, sad, hateful, grateful, Michelle, even nonchalant, whether we choose any of these will determine the kind of experience we have. And the kind of experience we have will end up determining the kind of results we end up having in life. So, you choose to be happy, your experiences are mostly going to be aligned with your happy experiences. You know, good relationships, good relationships with everything, with your business, with your friends, with your family, right? With money, right? With yourself. When you're choosing to be happy, you're choosing the fact that no whatever's going on in your life, whatever's happening in your life, you understand that it's happening for a reason. You understand that it has a purpose. Nothing is by accident. Everything has a design to it, and you understand more than not. Most people who operate in pure blissfulness, who choose to be happy, are aware of the consequences of their choices, of their decisions, right? They understand that if they're outside of this vortex, right, that they can experience things that they don't prefer, which is negative relationships, right, non-positive relationships, right, things that they don't prefer, things that will keep them sick, things that will keep them out of alignment, right? Choosing to be happy is choosing to be healthy, right? Remember the Bible even talks about this, right? A good heart helps the spirit, right? But a bad heart, negative thoughts dries up the bones, right? So we have to be aware that everything has potential to be whatever we decide it to be, right? We decide things to become things based on the choices we make at the potential state, right? What kind of seed we're planting to the ground, right? Positive seed, negative seeds, right? Hateful seeds, seeds of gratitude, or seeds of just whatever. Because nonchalantness is not the same as happiness. It's a whole different energy field, right? Nonchalantness is like, I'm just not, I choose to believe that I'm not coexisting with anything. That I'm just not, it is what it is. And there's a way that that can be positive and can be within happiness, but pure nonchalantness is basically saying, you know what, I just give up. I choose not to feel at all. We're human beings. We're still going to feel, right? But it's about transitioning those feelings into positive feelings, into beneficial feelings, rather than feelings that keep us sick, like I said, put us in negative states, shut down our immune system, get us to have anxiety, right? Now, happiness, good relationships, and the results, healthy life. When you see old people who are elderly people, more mature people, people who are in like, 50s and up, right? And you see a lot of them who are moving like they're in their 20s still running, still exercising in blissfulness, happiness, a lot of these people are in blue zones. Some places around the world where they eat a certain way, they think a certain way, they communicate a certain way, and it's all positive, right? It all resonates on a certain field of energy that they choose to maintain, right? It's all a choice. Why? Because they understand that choosing to be happy, right? Choosing to regardless, and it's not just laughing, it's not just like, ignoring other things, right? Being happy is basically saying, I'm okay, like, I'm okay with life. I'm okay with my skin, right? I'm okay with the people that I am attracting in life. I'm okay with the sky being blue. I'm okay with water. Well, if the water is good, right? You know what I mean? But I'm okay with the food because I know that I'm growing this food. I know I am consciously aware of where this food is coming from, right? I have confidence in the individual who's preparing this meal for me or whatever. Is choosing to be in a positive state, to not let things knock you down, right? And with this right here, this creates good relationships. People want to be around people who are positive, right? People want to be around. People want to do business with you. People want to call you. People want to connect with you, right? And you open those connections because you know those connections are there to serve you, right? And you as well to those connections as well. You understand the co-creation in the relationship. See, that's the difference with the happiness and nonchalantness. See, nonchalantness just pretending there is no coexistence. Trust me, I've been there, right? And the result is a happy life. Now, what about sadness, right? What happens when we choose to be sad, right? Obviously, negative relationships. And honestly, we all learn as we grow and we make mistakes, but the idea is to correct mistakes. I believe that I should not say good, we should get with positive, right? Positive. Good is subjective, right? So positive relationships, negative relationships, right? And that comes with choosing to be sad about things, right? And sadness, right, is I'm not saying that it's not okay to cry, to let out certain emotions, right? to feel certain things when you have this idea of a loss, even though there is no loss or anything like that. Anything that's meant to be for us will be for us until it's not meant to be with us. We're not aligned with it anymore. And that's just how life flows. You know what I mean? Regardless of how we feel about the shit. It's just the way it is. You feel me? So, but what I'm saying is choosing to remain in this state, right? Right? Choosing to let this be the foundation, let this be the root of your emotions, of your actions, of your decision makings, right? Of the way you're choosing to go about having relationships, the way you're choosing to communicate, right? If your root is in sadness, right? It's in this low vibration, right? In this victim state mindset, right? The result is obviously an unhealthy life, right? Because you're having negative relationships, right? Negative relationships, not just with other people. Remember, this is not just romantic, right? Negative relationships with yourself, right? You're not treating yourself good. A lot of people who choose to, more times than not, choose to be in a state of sadness, right? Their immune systems are shutting down. They're not eating properly, right? Not sleeping properly. They're not having the best kind of communications, right, with people, right? To keep them up, upbeat and more positive, right? Right, they're keeping around, when they talk about misery loves company, they're around more miserable people, right? Their energy vortex is attracting the likeness of that energy that they're planting out and they're delivering out into the world, right? And they don't like anything they're involved in. So because they don't like anything they're involved in, or they're not fully connected to it, it's not even just that they may not fully like it, but when you're in this low state, you're not fully allowing yourself to connect. You're not allowing yourself to be your true, authentic, best version of yourself, and therefore you're not allowing others to represent the best version of themselves to you. Because of you being in a state, it filters your perception, right? All of these states filter perceptions, right? And that's how, like, we could take things the wrong way, right? Even with through texting, obviously that happens because we don't know the emotions or the energy behind certain words. But even in communication, vocal communication, when you are in a certain state of mind, it creates a certain perception in through your eyes of how you see things in life, how you see other people. So someone could be saying something to you and they not mean anything by it, but then you take it negative, you take it the wrong way, and now it's a whole argument, is created, a whole negative vortex is created, which creates a distance between you two, creates separation, right? Creates division. So many different ways to say that one one thing I'm explaining, but you get the idea, right? It deters relationships, it deters positive relationships, and it deters abundance. It pulls it, right? The idea of good abundance, the abundance of things you want, because again, naturally we are abundant, right? Naturally, are we abundant in whatever we want in life? It's just about being mindful and being aware of what we are being abundant of and how we're being abundant of it. And that's the purpose for this shit right here, right? And the potential is the reason why we are abundant in whatever we are abundant in, right? And we see that through our experiences and finalizing our results, right? So when you're in a state of sadness, you notice you have a lot of negative relationships. And that state of sadness is just being negative about things, being negative about people, being negative about yourself, not treating yourself in the best way, not talking to other people in the best way, not allowing people to give you positive words, positive affirmations, right? To share with you, to help uplift you, because you're just choosing to remain low. And then we get to being, I know I should. We need balance, right? Because like I'm going from happy, sad, hateful. Like damn, we keep playing that both. So boom. So I'm gonna jump to being grateful, right? Because I wrote that under that because it was just in the mind. When I wrote that was just connected, right? But to keep the balance, I'm gonna go about talking about being grateful. What happens when we're grateful in life, right? When we're grateful in life, we're able to experience more of a positive abundance, right? Being grateful allows positive abundance because you're happy, right? You're satisfied with things that are coming into your life. You're not like, ah, this could have been better, this could have been like that, it just wasn't enough. You're like, no, this is great, this is amazing. You're not requiring people to just do extra when they're doing as much as they can do, what I mean, as much as they're able to do. You're allowing people to show up in their best way, and you're showing up in your best way, right? And you're just appreciative from the moment you wake up. Well, that creates a positive abundance, right? And from this positive abundance, the results More times than not, is wealth, and wealth comes in many different forms. When we think of wealth, it's not just we automatically think money, just money, money, money. But somebody could be wealthy in their health, so wealthy that they're also able to heal others, right? With the idea of being grateful with gratitude is such a high vibrational state and allows you to be in more positive connection with other people, and that creates a more stronger vortex, more strong higher vibrational vortex, right, in the co-creation that we're doing with people when we're in that state. And that right there creates even more opportunities that opens up more connections that opens up, and this makes someone wealthy, right? Because they literally have everything they need to have the moment they need to have it, right? And like I said, it doesn't just have to be money. It could be health, it could be food, it could be in friendships, you know what I mean? It could be in great ideas and great experiences, right? You understand this wealthiness, you're able to perceive this. See, the result is the perception, right? It's the end perception, because a lot of times when we're in the experience, and this is, for good reasons, right? We're in the experience, we're not in 100% perceiving everything that's going on, even perceiving our whole emotions. We're just being, right? We're just existing. We're being in the moment as we should. But after everything goes down, like, a lot of times when people keep it real, you link up with somebody, right? And, you in the moment, y'all drunk, y'all chilling, y'all partying, smoking, and all that shit. And y'all link up at night. Y'all go to the hotel or whatever, Airbnb or somebody apartment or whatever, car, depending how freaky you are. You know what I mean? And you have sex or whatever. And then you like after that next day or whatever, you think about the shit you did. Like, wait a minute, fuck, did I put a condom on? Did I do this? Did I do that? You know what I mean? Or like, do I remember this? And I mean, it's like you're able to. The idea is now that you're able to perceive what the fuck just happened, right? So the results is your perception of your experiences, and your experience comes from the potential that you put out there, right? Because the potential is anything. Potential could be happiness, sadness, good things, bad things, depending on how you define either or, you know what I mean? But it's all about the root, the seed that we're planting, right? So it's the seed, right? The experiences come from the seed, which is the potential. It's within the root of all of these things, right? Of the experience, of the results, right? Again, the results is the perception. So when we're happy, we're having positive relationships. And the results is that we now, after during this time, right? Because this continues, right? All of the experiences continue, right? It's just that there are moments, there are commercial breaks, right, where we're looking at what the fuck is going on. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, or damn, this shit sucks, or how the fuck did I get here? Or hey, man, damn, I really got here. You know, it's here in our perception. We see this after a lot of things have happened when we're reflecting on our lives, right? So happy, positive relationships, you realize you're living a healthy life, right? Sadness, negative relationships, you realize, damn, I'm living an unhealthy life. I'm experiencing things that I don't prefer. I'm constantly in shit that I don't like, right? Now, I mean, when you're grateful, you have positive abundance because you're grateful for everything that's coming within you, coming to you, right? And then in result you realize, man, I'm really wealthy because I have everything that I need. Now what happens when you're hateful? What happens when you're hateful? You experience a whole lot of fucking smoke. War. You experience war. War within yourself, war with other people, war with your finances, right? War with relationships of all different kinds, right? War with your perceptions, right? And in your result, you're just unsatisfied. The result is unsatisfaction, right? Unsatisfied. You can't. Nothing fulfills you, right? Unfulfillment, lack of fulfillment, right? Unsatisfaction. That's the end result of experiencing war within yourself, with other people, with your environment, with your food, right? With your thoughts, right? With your body, because you choose to be hateful in life. You choose to hate yourself. You choose to hate other people. You choose to hate things. You choose to be hateful rather than choose to be understanding, rather than choose to be grateful for what you have in your life, grateful for the things that are showing up, how they're showing up, because they're meant to teach you lessons, right? You choose not to be grateful. You choose to be hateful. You're not grateful or happy for other people who reach success, who find things that maybe you wish you would have found, but you didn't find it yet. But you see someone else done did it, and now you don't like them, right? But why? Why can't you see them as someone? Okay, they made it. Let me see what they did. Now I have another example. Now I see another framework instead of the limited things that I had to look at. Now I can expand the rubric, right? Like, why not look at that and be more grateful, and then also reach out to people who have gone, who have made it to places that you want to be, and see how they got there, so y'all can work together, potentially connect together, right? When you're hateful, right? Even if somehow you were able to mask your identity, because a lot of people do that shit, create these fucking false personas online. They're not really good people, but they create this to make people believe they're good people, because it's so easy to get online and create a fucking persona, and people are that gullible that they'll watch the shit, listen to it, and fall for it, as long as you present it in the best way. But you're really hateful, and the end result of that, again, is unsatisfaction, because no matter how far you may, as long as you are rooted in hatefulness and not being positive and not being good towards other people, right? Being spiteful, right? Just overall negative, right? If that is truly your foundation, you're constantly going to be in war within yourself, whether people see it or not, and with other individuals, whether everyone sees it or not, right? And then eventually that's going to tarnish your relationships. Why? Because you're going to first tarnish the relationship with yourself. And when you tarnish that relationship with yourself, everything outside of yourself trying to have a relationship with you is just automatically going to be tarnished from the moment of impact, right? Because you're not in alignment. How can anything be aligned with you? Can't be aligned with non-alignment, right? It's like existence cannot exist in non-existence. It doesn't make sense, right? That's why we say that you cannot experience what you are not the vibration of. That is just totally impossible, right? So understand. I'll say all of this. We gotta get to nonchalant as well too. Yeah, let's get to that before we summarize all this shit. Nonchalantness. Why did I even put that there? All right, honestly, real talk. But nonchalantness, what the experience is limited. All right, the experience that comes with nonchalant is limitation, and the results of limitation is, I mean, I even say, I'm gonna say it anyway, because limitation is just limitation. Further limitation, right? Not full experience, right? Because with nonchalantness, trust me, I've been there. You don't allow yourself to fully experience experiences and allow yourself to actually be present, right? And then you don't allow yourself to really connect. You're like, whatever, I don't care, fuck it, yeah. It's like you gave up. It's like whatever, right? And at first it seems strong. At first it seems cool, and when you're younger, the girls love it or whatever like that. But it's not the way to be. It's a mask for being sad, right? You're not even hateful. You're kind of sad, but you're like, you know what? After sadness, I'm just not even going to feel that anyway. I'm just going to just be here and just live. And that's also unhealthy, right? So when you have a limitation, you're limiting your own self, right? From expansion, right? You're limiting your body from working in its full capacity, you know what I mean? So it could be able to continue to heal itself, right? So you're going to always need outside medicine, just like people in the sadness and hateful vortex, right? You're just going to always need pharmaceutical medicine or whatever. Um, you're limiting yourself and your experiences with other people and events and great things in life, great things to see and experience in this life. You know what I mean? We're not just here on this earth to just exist. It's a beautiful planet, many things to see, people to connect with. It's a reason why we're all here. You know what I mean? But you limit yourself, and then result of that is just entire limitation, even further limitation, and then you just die limited, right? Limited beliefs, limited ideas, and limited connections, right? And at the end of the day, you're gonna realize you really don't want that. So just be mindful, man, of the fact that the result of wherever you at in life, right? Three stages in this shit. It's three forms, three phases, potential, experience, results. All right, everything has a potential. Anything can happen. Everything can be, right? And from whatever anything, whatever you choose out of the anything, right? The anything bubble becomes an experience that you have in your life. And depending on that experience, whatever that experience is, will lead to certain results. And that's just the foundation of it. That's just the way the structure of existence works. It gets deeper than that. But this is just the fundamental. This is the elementary. Right? I want y'all to see that. Y'all should. You know what I mean? So, hope y'all get it. Any questions? You already know. Hit me up. Hood Scholar out. Peace.